Good morning, everyone. Good morning, my people. Today, we'll be talking on high blood pressure, the silent killer. High blood pressure, the silent killer. My name is Nde Elvis. And the reason why I'm taking on this and my family, it's somehow to create an awareness within the immigrant community as to what is happening in terms of high blood pressure in our community here in the US, where I've lived in South Korea and in other part of the world as immigrants. What do we do to take control of ourselves, to take care of ourselves when the silent killer is around there? So there's a lot happening when it comes to that. There's a lot happening. So today we'll be talking about high blood. And just to give a little background about myself, I am a health instructor here in the United States of America. I work for Montgomery County, and I am an instructor in medical assistance and foundation in medicine. My background in the early days, I went to Baptist High School Mancon, and a lot of people may know me in Baptist High School Mancon back then. And I have a passion for science right there in Baptist High School. And from Baptist High School, I schooled at University of Boyer, where I graduated with a bachelor's degree in microbiology and parasitology with a minor in medical laboratory technology. I moved from there on a scholarship to South Korea, and where I had my master's in education right there in South Korea, and I lived there apparently for approximately 4 years. Then where I moved to the United States. In the United States, I work with Montgomery County, it's a local government. So where I worked in Montgomery County, right there. So as a health instructor, I felt that it's really important for me to lay some sort of insight into our community and immigrant community back here in the United States, because a lot is happening in the community and they are not aware of it, and some sort of being negligent about it. And at the end of the day, most people are driven by the fact that they want to make money. They came here for money. They came here for greener pasture. But you cannot be pursuing that greener pasture when the health is not good. You may never know that your health is very precious unless you fall sick and you have millions of dollars in the bank, but that cannot help you. So that is why I and my wife who created this page to talk about things that will happen in our immigrant community. And it's Elvis and Doris Diary, Health is What. So there will be a time we're talking on word itself, how as immigrant community we get to generate word for ourselves here in the United States, and how do you create a long-lasting word impact and you leave it for your children and your generation to come after you. That is very important. And again, we cannot be talking on worth without talking on health, because worth and health will go together. Just as it rhymes, one cannot go without the other. So that's why we'll be talking on this. Now, as to that, in the United States, based on my background, I have a Master's of Science degree. That's the second master's degree in biotechnology and regulatory affairs, precisely with regulatory affairs with specialty in Food and Drug Administration regulatory issues, right? Looking at food safety, drug qualities, making sure that whatever drug is out there is safe, is effective, right? Is efficacious for the use of humans around the world. We look at also vaccines. How are vaccines safe? How are they efficacious? That is part of my duty and what I study under the Masters of Science in Biotechnology with specialty in regulatory affairs. And my knowledge doesn't only end there. The specialty also extends in the European Union, where I have some background knowledge there when it comes to the European Medicine Agency, because those agencies work in collaboration with the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. And we also have the Japan Pharmaceutical and Medical Association right there. So those associations have set a good standard in the approval of pharmaceutical products and medical devices, and making sure that it's first of all safe, it's first of all effective before it's tried on any human being in any part of the world. And I got to answer a lot of questions during the pandemic, when people were so worried about the pace at which the vaccine was being approved, but which that I felt that pushed me to let my community know that a lot is happening in the science world, and they are ignorant about it, and not really ignorant about it. I can't say they are ignorant, but also my community, immigrant community coming from Africa and all that, they have been in so much in different parts of the countries in Africa, or even in Southeast Asia. They have been in so much disbelief as to the trials of certain medication back there in history, and they believe that sometimes their communities are being used as guinea pigs to test for this. I don't know how that is true. I don't know how that is but they come from that angle, and that is why most of them were very skeptical about receiving the COVID-19 vaccines. But again, before that vaccine is being ruled out there, and I want to assure the public that it has been proven to be safe and efficacious. And when it gets out there, there's still going to be a lot of research that is going to be taking place over the years, and that is why the FDA approved that pay an emergency use. Be it the test kits that are out there, the FDA approved that as for emergency use, because over the years more will be discovered as to the vaccine, and more will be discovered as to the test kits. But again, when we talk of the FDA looking into that, sometimes we get to where you look at the risks. When you look at the risks and you look at the benefits, we get to weigh that. When the benefits outnumbers the risks, that is when a medication is approved. That is when a medical device is being approved to be used. That's when a vaccine is being approved. Because if you have a scenario whereby a large percentage of people going to benefit from that vaccine, 99%, then it means that it is safe and efficacious. The standards of the benefit exceeding the safe, the benefit exceeding maybe some sort of the side effects right there. And that is how the FDA goes ahead to look at this, review the data with so much scientists putting effect on the background. A lot is happening on the background, making sure that this is safe and effective for humans. So that is my background. Okay, my background starting all the way from BHS Mancon, moving to University of Boya, moving to South Korea, had my first master's degree, and moving to the United States, where I had my second master's degree in biotechnology and regulatory affairs. And currently, I'm a medical instructor in Montgomery County, and also and also foundation in medicine for students aspiring to be medical doctors. So I handle those issues right there, and with contracts as well with when it comes to the regulation of medical devices and pharmaceutical products. So that is my background. But when looking at this, how does this benefit my community? That's the question I ask myself a lot of time. How does this benefit my community? And that is why I decided to create this video, this 30 minutes sometimes, to talk about the things that affect my community that I have seen. So today we'll be talking on high blood pressure, understanding the silent killer. Understanding the silent killer. Why do we call it the silent killer? It's the silent killer because many people will never know what is happening to their system. Many people will never know what is happening to their blood pressure till when sometimes they drop down, till when sometimes they have extensive headache, till when sometimes they have some of their organs being affected. For example, the eyes being affected. For example, the heartbeat increasing. For example, feeling a lot of headaches sometimes. For example, sweating, and all that happening before they get into the hospital. And it's very sad and unfortunate that with our immigrant communities back here in the United States, I am not targeting just this video is gonna benefit our families back home, whatever country you are in, so I'm not only targeting back there, but when we look at some of these things, we see that growing up, even within our parents, we were not in a position where sometimes we get to advise our parents to go for frequent checkup, to go for annual physicals, to go sometimes for monthly checkup when they get to certain age. To considering ourselves, sometimes we in the United States, the immigrant communities, it's all about work, no time to rest, a lot of stress, and eating, not eating a lot of balanced diet, getting very few amounts of fruits and vegetables, and very few people in the immigrant community are aware of the fact that sometimes they're supposed to at least get some sort of vitamins as to the year to replenish some sort of their health. And given the fact that we are sometimes very busy, we have not had the patience to sometimes even put into consideration what we eat, some of the food we eat. I'm not saying that the food that we grew up eating in Cameroon, where I come from, in Bamenda, where I come from precisely, in Mancon, where I come from precisely, are not that healthy. But looking at it, sometimes what happens, for example, let's look at it. In where I come from, I'm proud of my achu that the Mancon people eat. I'm proud of achu that the Mancon people eat. And we could make that achu much interesting, much healthier. For example, getting that achu with some sort of garden eggplant right there, and we used to call it the garden eggs. The eggplant right there, get enough of it, get some vegetables right there, and get some proteins. We eat the cow skin, and unfortunately, I would say that is healthy, because we don't want to eat a lot of meat. And even if you eat some meat, you don't want to eat excessive amount of meat. The cow skin is healthy. Sometimes our parents will use fish. My wife will use fish sometimes to prepare that, and that is again is healthy. Sometimes we from my mom and my wife, sometimes they will do what is called the black soup, and that black soup, when you use the cocoyam leaves to prepare that with, that is again is very healthy. But get some healthy vegetables alongside that cocoyam stems that we eat, that we pound as our achu. So sometimes we see people eating very large quantity of achu and just the red soup, and there's no vegetables, and there's a lot of meat right there. And I say again, that is not being healthy. So we need to make that achu very spicy, and make a lot of, sometimes being creative around it, so that we get to get a balanced diet from that. So that is it. And when we are coming from that community where there's no lot of focus on balanced diet, sometimes there's no lot that is said about making sure that in a day you get some vegetables, you get some fruits, you get some carbohydrate, you get some protein in moderate amounts, in amounts that are good. good to you. We come from that community sometimes whereby people don't talk about excessive eating within the meals, excessive amount of eating, because that is something that we're going to talk about when it comes to high blood pressure. Now, so this is what we are talking about, because at the end of the day, this high blood pressure, when it comes in, it takes a gradual toll on your health, and people never know it. People don't go for checkup. People don't go for their yearly physicals. Our parents, when they get to a certain amount of age, they need to go like for monthly checkup. Sometimes they don't want to go about go for it. We don't even encourage them sometimes to go for it by letting them know that we can, they get to a certain age for us to take care of them. So we don't encourage that as well. So what happens? This high blood pressure takes a toll on them for so many years, and before we discover it, is someone coming out there with some sort of blindness due to excessive blood pressure, someone coming out there with stroke due to excessive blood pressure, someone coming there with heart failure due to excessive blood pressure, someone even coming out there with kidney failure due to excessive blood pressure. So a lot is happening. So it starts affecting your organs, and that is where we go. When we go to the hospital now, and our arms are being tied with the pressure meter, then it gives us a reading. Then the doctor tells you, oh, you have high blood pressure, and that is where it starts. So what can we do? Our goal. How can we do to prevent this high blood pressure from becoming a silent killer? How can we target it right on time? So targeting the high blood pressure right on time will require different strategy. We're going to look at some sort of our health. How often do we exercise? I want to talk about exercise in particular. In our immigrant communities back here, it's rare to see our community members take some time off to do exercise. A 30 minutes of exercise every day is very effective. It's very healthy, and it's very good for your health. Just 30 minutes of exercise is very good for your health. Sometimes we don't get to do that. When we go to the hospital, the doctor says, oh, you're putting on a lot of weight. That's when we go do the exercise. When we drop off that and the doctor says you're feeling a little better, you slack about taking that exercise. I'm sorry, we have a plane flying over. That's where we're getting the noise. Sorry for that. So again, a 30 minutes of exercise is very good. When we talk of exercise, we are not talking of the exercise that people do, like footballers do. You want to go to the gym, you work out that extensive. They are minimal exercise that we can take. Just for example, our parents, when they come to this country, just a walking opportunity for them, just to go to the tree and walk, just to go to the park and walk for a distance. Just walking, not running. Walking is very good for their health. Leaving them in the house and not and for them not taking a walk, you are indirectly killing them. You are now becoming the silent killer through high blood pressure. Let them go out and work. We know that they come here sometimes to help us, but let them go out, take their walk. Sometimes we'll have some time, you stay around with the kids, they go out, they take their walk, they walk around the community, they walk, take some walk, not running, just walking. It's very healthy for them. Okay. Also, we know, I will talk a little bit about stress as to that fact. Now, sometimes when they come, also they stay with us in the house. Even us ourselves living here, sometimes we spend a lot of time indoors than outdoors. That is the life in abroad. That is the life in the United States. Our children will stay indoor more than they stay outside. So again, we need to know that going out there sometime, relaxing, taking off that stress can help the blood pressure get to a normal level. Taking a walk, exercising, getting a treadmill can be very helpful. Just running on the treadmill for 30 minutes every day is very helpful. So that is why I want to talk about that. What about the diet? Making sure that you are controlling your amount of carbohydrate, making sure you are controlling your amount of fat is very important. Eating a lot of vegetables, eating a lot of fiber rich fruits as well is very important. Why is that important? Again, we know that when we consume excessive amount of carbohydrate, it gets to build up in our cell, especially when we don't do exercise. It's gonna build up in our body as some sort of sugar, and you are not doing that exercise. You are only consuming. What will happen overall? You are down with some sort of diabetes, and remember, diabetes is a friend with high blood pressure. Most of the time, people that end up with diabetes, sometimes they have high blood pressure. They are good friends. They work together. So we need to do everything to get that blood less vigorous. We need to do everything to get that blood flowing easily through our blood vessels. We need to do everything to get that blood less congested. We need to do everything to get our blood vessels wide open so that the flow of blood can be successful. So again, I just mentioned diabetes. After this, we'll be moving over to diabetes on our next video, not today. So that will be the next killer we want to talk about within our community. So we have spoke about doing some exercise. We have spoke about looking at your diet, getting some fruits, more vegetables, less carbohydrate, less fat, less red meat, less pork. A lot of people in our communities, that is what is happening. They are having all of this happening. A lot of them are having all of this happening in our communities, consuming excessive amounts of meat. You will never know about it. It's so much fun, it's so much tasty, it's so much good to eat large amount of soyas and all that. But again, when that builds up in your body as excessive amount of cholesterol, especially when it comes to consuming red meat, beef. In the United States, you hear a lot of people talk about steak or soyas. In our context in Cameroon, we call it soya. They consume excess amount. We have barbecue, and sometimes I don't blame our community with that. I don't blame myself also with that, because sometimes I'm part of that. Again, why is that so? We grew up in a community whereby sometimes when our parents cook food, they'll get a slice of meat, a slice of fish, and they have to share that. Maybe that slice of meat they're gonna share that between you and your brothers and your sisters. So coming from that community and getting to the United States, where we have all this excess amount of meat available, excess chicken available, excess fish available, people get to pay back the old times, and they forget that is taking a toll on our health. Please, I'm some sort of support of our parents a little bit. They helped us control how we ate meat back there, how we ate chicken back there, even though they did it because they didn't have it, but that was very healthy. If we should have consumed excessive amount of meat back in Africa the way we do in the United States, and when we came here we kept up with that, maybe most of us should have gone by now. Because I'm just imagining, a lot of our brothers and sisters here, most of them are suffering from high cholesterol levels. And when that high cholesterol level take a toll on you, please, that is dangerous. That will lead to high blood, because the excessive amount of fat is going to deposit around your blood vessels, causing the hole that blood is passing through, that we call that in the science the lumen. It causes that hole to become very tiny. Then blood is going to find very difficult to move through your blood vessels. When that happens, what does that mean? It means that your heart has to do an extensive job in pumping blood through your body. So you're overworking your heart, you're overworking your blood vessels. That could lead to blood vessel rupture. Your blood vessels could break, and that is very dangerous. Your heart could fail as a result of excessive pressure that it needs to pump the blood to the rest of your body. And that is where we know stroke can come in, heart failure can come in. So that red meat that you are consuming and you're thinking that it's fun, is not fun. You need to cut down on your red meat. That is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. We need to eat moderate amount of red meat. Don't eat because you find it excessive in the United States. Don't eat fish because you find it excessive. But fish again is very healthy. It's healthy as compared to red meat. Okay, pork, some people say it's healthy as compared to red meat when it comes to some sort of dangerous effects like gout. So again, we need to control that. So that is one part of our diet we need to control to take care of our health. Okay, when it comes to high blood pressure. Now, when we talk of high blood pressure, what are we talking about in general? Our blood has a certain pressure in which it is being pumped through our blood vessels, right? So when we talk of high blood pressure, it therefore means that the pressure of our blood, the pressure that the blood exerts on the walls of the blood vessels, it's very high, it's extensive, it's excessive. That is when we call it high blood pressure. We have two types of blood pressure in general. We have the systolic blood pressure. That is when the pressure that the blood vessels gonna face when your heart is contracting to pump blood. Everybody know when you listen to your heart, put your ears right there. Sometimes you listen, sometimes you get it. You're gonna get your heart doing that sound, dub 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 dub. That is your heart pumping blood. So the blood pressure when your heart is pumping the blood, that is called the systolic blood pressure, is the higher number. We're gonna talk about that. When the blood pressure when your heart is relaxing and refilling blood, we call that the diastolic blood pressure. Okay, diastole, the heart is relaxing, refilling, and the pressure at that time that the blood vessels are filling is called the diastolic. When the heart contracts and is pumping that blood out of the body, the blood pressure that your blood vessels are filling is called the systolic. So the systolic is usually higher than the diastolic. So when you go to the hospital, mommy, papa, brothers and sisters, when when we do your blood pressure, we take your blood pressure using the blood pressure meter. Again, we always give you two numbers right there, the one on top and the one below. The one on top is that systolic that I'm talking about. It's when your heart is contracted. Of course, if your heart is contracted and pumping blood, we know that the pressure is going to be bigger, and that is a higher number on top. When the heart is relaxing and refilling, we know that some sort of pressure is being taken off the blood vessels. We know that that is a smaller number. So each time your doctor is going to give you those two readings, and when your doctor gives you those two readings, you need to take a good look at them, and they will always advise you what is happening to your health. Okay, so a normal blood pressure, so if you take your blood pressure, the normal blood pressure is on 120, the systolic is 120, and the diastolic is 80 or lower even. Now when your blood pressure is considered high, that is stage one. When we start talking about your blood pressure is getting high, that you are now becoming pre-hypertensive. Stage 1, pre-hypertensive. It reads 130 on 80. So when your blood pressure start reading 130 on 80, that's the systolic is 130 and the diastolic is on 80. You are now in stage 1. You are becoming pre-hypertensive. You need to start watching that weight. You need to start doing regular exercise. You need to start looking at your diet. Am I consuming good amount of vegetables? Am I consuming good amount of fruits? Am I consuming less amount of carbohydrate? Am I consuming less amount of meat? Right? Am I consuming less amount of alcohol? I want to talk about that. I will take a moment to talk about that within our communities. It's crazy when it comes to consumption of alcohol and meat. You need to start watching that. Now, stage 2, when your high blood pressure is 140 on 90, you are now in stage 2 or higher. 140 on 90, stage 2 or higher. You need to be watchful. At that moment, you are placed under a medication that can help you dilate your blood vessels, allow some sort of flow of your blood to release that pressure. A medication that can help take rid of your high level of cholesterol, so that excessive amount of cholesterol or fat that has deposited gets dissolved and increase the passage for blood to flow. So you may be placed on different medications right there. Medication will function differently, and that is why you need to talk to your doctor. Your doctor will be the one to make such decision. Sometimes they're gonna try a medication for you for 6 months, and if that is not working, they sometimes switch. Sometimes they get to try some medication, it's working, but after some time it's no longer working. The doctor needs to switch. So that is why you need to constantly check. You cannot just take one medication and think, oh, that is it. You need to constantly check. That is very important. Okay, that is very important again, and it should be, it should be something that we get to do on a daily basis. In our community, we are very lucky here in the United States with the resources and availability. You could walk into a CVS store and you get a blood pressure meter right there. You could walk into a CVS store, you will get a glucometer to check your blood glucose. You could walk into a CVS store, and there is a lot there to help you, a lot of reading, a lot of vitamins, a lot of things right there that you could get to help you, right? So if you are that type that you have been diagnosed maybe pre-hypertensive or hypertensive, you can go there and get your blood pressure meter in the morning. You can set that yourself. You can, when you go to your doctor, you can ask them to teach you how to do that. You get them in the morning before you go to work. When you come back from work, you tie your hand, take your reading, and that will be very helpful, so you know where your blood pressure is, what is happening to your blood pressure. That is very important, so you always look at that, and that will help you manage your blood pressure. And while you are looking at that, you are exercising, you are cutting down on your carbohydrate, you are eating a lot of vegetables, you are eating a lot of fiber rich food, you are consuming less amount of alcohol. I will talk on that. Less amount of alcohol is very important, right? You are consuming less amount of meat, because you don't want to be that cholesterol out. And remember, cholesterol is not only from meat. We have other sources of cholesterol, but meat, red meat in particular, is what is the silent killer behind the silent killer in our community. Red meat and alcohol is the silent killer behind the silent killer, which is high blood pressure in our community. So that's why I'm talking on those two in particular. So that is it in a nutshell when it comes to high blood pressure right there. Okay, so that said, I've mentioned how well can we manage this. Going for your yearly physical checkup will tell your doctor what is happening to your system. Your blood work will be conducted. Your cholesterol level will be measured. The level of different lipids, low density lipid, high density lipids, will be measured in you. Your A1C will be also taken into consideration, right? And if anything is the case, and there is a medication that can help you from advancing into that disease state, from advancing into hypertensive. If you are in pre-hypertensive state or pre-diabetic state, there is that medication, there is that change of habit, change of lifestyle that can help you, prevent you from advancing into being hypertensive, in this case, or pre-diabetic, which I'll talk about in our another video that will be coming up in days after this. So again, that is very important, right? So there are things that once you have been diagnosed as pre-hypertensive or you are hypertensive, there are things that you need to throw away, right? For example, decreasing salt in your diet. First of all, I think excessive amount of salt, excessive amount of seasoning cubes in our food is not that healthy, right? So as you approach a certain age, right, you want to keep an eye on the amount of salt you put in food. You keep the amount of cubes you put in your food. So I get to applaud my wife on that, and getting that salt and getting that seasoning cubes under control. Yeah, because it gets somehow crazy with that, right? So as we advance in age, you need to put an eye on those. Now, losing weight is very necessary. And how do you lose weight, right? You're cutting down on your diet, you're doing some sort of exercise as well. So you cut down on your diet and you do some exercise as well. That is very important. If you are smoking and you have been diagnosed as pre-hypertensive or hypertensive, you need to quit smoking. I say quit smoking. I didn't say reduce smoking. You need to quit smoking. Smoking is the silent killer behind the silent killer, high blood, that is going to lead you to your grave. You need to quit smoking. Okay, you need to cut down on excessive amount of alcohol. I want to talk about that in our community. In our community here in the United States, we have, especially Cameroonians, where I come from, sometimes we get to consume excessive amounts of alcohol. You're gonna see someone sit down there and get a box of Heineken, and that is done. A complete box of Heineken. You see someone going to the field to play soccer to cut down excessive amount of weight gain, because maybe the doctor, and during maybe halftime of the match, They go out there, they quickly get a bottle of Heineken, then get back to the field under alcohol. That is the toll in which alcohol is taken into our community. You see people, they will sit down and consume maybe two bottles of Hennessy right there with just 3 people. That is excessive. One bottle of Hennessy, look at it very well, is in the percentage of 46% alcohol. So how come 3 people, 4 people can consume two bottles of Hennessy? That is again is very expensive. That is the silent killer. Behind the silent killer, that is high blood that is going to take you to your grave. You need to pull out from that. Excessive amount. Alcohol was not meant to consume in excessive amount. No, alcohol was meant for you to even get a shot. When you come back, sometimes you want to relax, you get a glass of alcohol. Alcohol is meant when you're hanging out with your friend, you can get a glass of alcohol. Set a line of discipline. Set a line of discipline. With that, I sometimes struggle with that, especially when I keep up with my friends. I struggle with that sometimes. I will get a glass of alcohol, and the rest of the program I consume ice and water. Most of my friends that know me, they will testify on that. I will consume excessive amount of ice in water, just with little amount of Hennessy or whatnot. I watch that. I don't pull myself because I am there and I feel that I should drink. No, I don't do that. If I'm there and I feel I want to accompany my friends, yes, but it doesn't mean that I will drink, because I set my rules as to that. I find it very also difficult to drink, drunk, and drive. So that is one thing that always helped me to somehow shape my ideas of not drinking excessive amount of alcohol when I get out there, because most of the time I'm with the family. I need to pick on the wheel, and I want to make sure that I'm not under the influence of alcohol while driving my family. It's dangerous, because it takes a blink of an eye for whatever you have worked so hard for it to get destroyed, and you destroy your family and you live on a regret just because of a bottle of alcohol. So you want to set that hard line. No, nothing should force you to consume excessive amounts of alcohol. No. And as a teacher, an instructor as well, and someone in the health industry, someone that go out there, we talk on regulatory affairs and all that. No, I need to do that to protect even my license. So I try as much as possible not to be part of excessive drinking. I do not smoke at all. I'm not saying that those that smoke, if I know, but again, we should not stop telling people that smoke that is dangerous to their health. It's their decision. We respect that, but we need to still keep on telling the excess amount of alcohol again is dangerous. That is a silent killer behind the silent killer, which is high blood, that can lead you to your early grave. We need to do that. Okay, so we have spoke about exercise, lifestyle changing, decreasing amount of salt in your diet and the seasoning cubes we use, losing weight through excessive amount of exercise, stop smoking, cutting down on alcohol, and regular exercise. That is very important. Those are some of the lifestyle changes that we can do to fight this high blood pressure within our communities and even back home. Okay, in addition to lifestyle changes, what I want to talk about, if you have been diagnosed with being hypertensive, please, there is no bad feelings in that. There is no like you are dead, there's nothing. No, there is a medication for that. Why don't you work with your healthcare provider? A lot of us in this country, we have all these insurances that we get from our job site and all that. We have all these insurances that the government provide, but still yet in a year we don't go for our physicals, we don't go for checkup, we don't go to get advice from our healthcare providers, and we are paying all this insurance. Why then are you paying this insurance if you cannot use it to take care of yourself? Why then are you paying this insurance for your mom, your father, your family members that are here with you, but you cannot take them to go for your physicals? Why are you paying that insurance? You will be taking them there when it's already too late. So you want to take them to make sure that is very okay, so that is something that we want to talk about. So that is the goal that is going to be behind our channel, Health is Worth, because we need to talk about all of this, and gradually we're going to talk about worth. When it comes to worth, most of the times my wife will be coming up to talk about some sort of worth, how you get to build some worth here in the United States and all that, and I will be talking on that as well. But that's why health is worth. We need to dwell on those two things. So now, so out there, as I said, there are medication right there to manage that. It's not like when you are diagnosed to be hypertensive, it means that all is gone. There is medication to manage it out there. Work with your healthcare providers. Follow their advice for medication. Follow their advice of changing habit. Exercise regularly. Stop smoking. Cut down on excessive amount of alcohol. That Hennessy is gonna be the one to cause you. You don't want to. There is no gain in consuming excessive amount of alcohol. You don't measure enjoyment by consuming excessive amount of meat, excessive amount of alcohol. No, that is not how you measure enjoyment or good lifestyle. You need to set a discipline when it comes to your life. If I'm getting a glass of Hennessy, that is it. I will not get two. No matter how long I stay right there, I can subsidize that with something else. I will not get that. If I want to consume some sort of meat, maybe soya in our community, if I get a plate of soya, that is it. I'm not going to consume the second plate. Set a boundary right there. Okay, make sure that in your days, during your day, you make sure that during the day you have some sort of a balanced diet. You consume some fruit, you consume some vegetables, and you consume this. That is very important, as I would say. Okay, so most people take more than one medication sometimes for managing their high blood pressure. When it gets to that point where it proves difficult to control, so they need to get manage that. Okay, so again, work with your healthcare providers. They will help you, and they'll help you manage that. Now there is one thing I want to talk about when it comes to high blood pressure within our communities. A lot that is happening with this high blood pressure is in our community is due to our diet, is due to our busy schedule. But there is something I will not leave out: stress, especially from family members back home as well. Sometimes it's hard to talk about it, but we need to talk about it. Stress sometimes from a lot of demands that we get from back home. We need to talk about it. A lot of demands that we get from back home. We know that sometimes our families, they support us to get so far right here. But again, remember, health is worth. Those people sometimes, we need to support them with the worth. But if you don't have the health, then you will not have the worth to be able to take care of those people. So sometimes, it's not like they do it intentionally. Sometimes, they feel that, I have big brother, I have big sister, I have my cousin, I have my uncle, I have my father, I have my mom, they need to do that. You can blame them. It's a culture in which we are coming from. It's a environment in which we are coming from. A lot sometimes is on our shoulder. We can't run away from our cultures. We can't run away sometimes from our responsibilities. But how do you manage those responsibilities with stress? I in particular, sometimes it gets so stressful, but I get to find ways to deal without that stress, not letting that stress take down on my blood pressure. So how do you manage that stress? It's very important. So a lot of stress sometimes comes back there, and also not only back there, back here. A lot of time we engage in so many things. That put us on a lot of stress. We go out there, sometimes we get this car loan, we get this mortgage that we cannot really afford for it. It's very expensive. We get all these lifestyles that we cannot afford for it, and what happens? It takes a toll on us as to paying the bills. And you know what? That is what pushes us out there to work day and night, 24 hours to meet up that bills. And we don't find time even to get a rest for ourselves. We don't find time to go to the hospital and check ourselves. We don't do that. And what happens at the end of the day? We are diagnosed of high blood pressure, the silent killer, and sometimes it's already late. Right? So again, we want to manage our stress. Exercise more. Sometimes you want to talk to your healthcare provider. You want to talk to sometimes a stress therapist that will help you to overcome certain people in life. People in life, there is stress. There will always be stress. It's how we manage the stress that's gonna be important. If you don't manage the stress, that's when it takes a toll on you. There's nowhere you're gonna find yourself, be it home, being abroad, that there is no stress. There's always gonna be stress, unless you are that lazy, unless you are that one that you want to just sit and everything provided for you. That is why you don't stress. But if you are that one that you want to push for, be it a student, you want to have that best grade, that's why you read all day night, that is the stress you are going through. Being a father out there toiling, that is the stress you are going through to make sure that your family is okay. Being a mom out there doing all you have to do, providing for the house, making sure that everything is in order, that is the stress you are going through out there. Looking after the kid, that is the stress you are going through out there. There's always gonna be stress. So again, how do we manage that stress? That is what is important. Okay, so that is some of the things we want to talk about under this. So managing stress is very important. Managing your stress is very important. So we have talked a lot to high blood pressure and how it's taking a toll on our community. So again, you can always reach out. Sometimes in the comment section, you can type your messages. You can send some messages to me. I'll be glad to advise you the best way we can. And as I said, this channel will be all about health and wealth. There will be a time we'll be talking about wealth, but I and my wife just believe that you cannot be talking about wealth without talking about health, because sometimes when you have all this out there and your health is down, you see them as useless. When you have all this out there and you feel that your health is down, nothing is still useless. So again, we will be talking about that. So let's go out there, do our best to manage this silent killer. Please go for your yearly physicals. If you have parents that are up to certain age, try to sometimes to get them for some checkup. Checking their blood pressure, checking their sugars is very important. So those are some of the things that we talked about right here. And also, managing your stress is very important when it comes to controlling your blood pressure. Okay, and how can we also manage this blood pressure? I will not say excessive weight gain again is important. I don't excessive, not that you just go around losing weight, that's what I'm saying, but cut down on your weight. Your diet is very important. Get a balanced diet. Eat a lot of vegetables, eat a lot of fibers, eat a lot of fruits, right? It doesn't mean that you don't eat some carbohydrate. Make sure you're eating some balanced diet right there. Eat less amount of meat. Eat instead fish. That will be helpful for you. Okay, and I did mention nawachu kanda. We find it may not be the sweet part, but the cow skin again, it helps because it doesn't have that excessive amount of protein that could lead to gout in you. Okay, stop smoking. Once you are hypertensive, pre-hypertensive or hypertensive, you need to quit. When I said quit smoking immediately, it's gonna lead you down the way faster. Quit smoking immediately. Even if you have not been diagnosed, smoking is not still good for your health. That's why even on the boxes you're gonna see that tobacco is not good for your health, but they still sell it out there. It's up to you to take care of yourself. Okay, so quit smoking. Cutting down on your alcohol use is very important. Cut down. Excessive amount of alcohol is not good. Enjoyment is not measured around the consumption of excessive amount of red meat. Enjoyment is not measured around the amount of consumption of excessive amount of Hennessy. Enjoyment is not measured as to consuming excessive amount of Heineken. That's not it. Neither consuming excessive amount of so much sweets. No, that's not it. Moderate amount, living a good lifestyle is very healthy for you. Okay, so you need to cut down on that alcohol. Then finally, try to exercise regularly. 30 minutes of exercise in a day, or 30 minutes of exercise after each day, like You do it today, you skip tomorrow, you do it the next day. It's still very helpful. Just 30 minutes is very helpful. Okay, going out there and walking is very helpful. Just taking a walk is very helpful. Being there and just engaging in conversation with your loved one, you guys talking about things that could get off the stress is very helpful for you. You don't want to go through what you're going by yourself. So again, that is what we have been talking on today. So I plan on taking an hour for us to talk about high blood pressure. But again, please, high blood pressure is a silent killer. We need to manage that. You don't want to go down with stroke that could have been prevented. You don't want to go down with kidney failure that could have been prevented. You don't want to go down to blood vessel ruptures that could have been prevented. You don't want to go down with blood clots that could have been prevented. Please, you don't want to go down with heart failure that could have been prevented. Okay, high blood is a silent killer. Let's all manage our high blood pressure. Let's all do our best to stay away from high blood pressure. Our next video is going to be on diabetes and how we can manage diabetes and the prevalence of diabetes within our community. Thank you so much and have a great day. If you have any question, just keep me in the comment section. I will respond to you, and this is how we get going. This is how the little we can do to impact our community health wise, so that our communities can benefit out there. Please don't forget, go out there to CVS, go out there to doctors' offices, go out there to, if you're in Cameroon, you're somewhere in Africa, anywhere, go out there, get a blood pressure meter right there. If you have been diagnosed with some sort of high blood pressure or pre-hypertensive, why don't you start monitoring that and seeing how you can keep that healthy? Remember what I said. A normal blood pressure is between as I told you before, is between the systolic is 120 and the diastolic is on 80 and below and lower. That is the healthy one. So if you take your reading is above that, you need to be worrisome a little bit, but that is not still a call of concern, because it depends also on your mood at the time at which the blood pressure was taken. What is happening at that moment the blood pressure was taken, that is very important, and that's why we need to take it consecutively to see what is really happening. If it stays the same, then it's a call of concern. You need to check in with your healthcare provider as to that. Okay, and when you take your reading again, you have 130 on 80. That is now stage 1. That is pre-hypertensive. You need to start monitoring it. What is happening? When you take the blood pressure again, it goes up to 140 on 90 or higher. Please, you are hypertensive. You need to start managing that. Okay? If you get a blood pressure and from some in a scenario you get 180 on 110 or higher, please, you need to see a doctor right away. Immediately you need to get to the hospital. Immediately. What I'm saying immediately means as you're standing in that spot, a blood pressure of 180 on 110, that's the systolic is 180, the diastolic is 110 or higher. Where you are standing to, you need to get to the hospital right away, because after that you may fall down, and that is all about it. We have scenarios where our brothers and sisters have just sat down there because of that and they die on the steering wheel, high blood pressure. We have scenarios where our brothers and sisters have just collapsed and they die. Of recent, I watched a video from South Korea where there's one of our Nigerian brothers right there that just collapsed within the friends, among the friends who they were just having fun, and died. That is the silent killer right there. He didn't see it coming. Maybe he had some light headache, but of course could not go and check for it, based on maybe the healthcare system finding themselves in South Korea as foreigners. And what happened? It get to that point where he just collapsed, and that was it. And I saw the video, it touched me, where they were incriminating the body and to send it back to Nigeria. That is a silent killer right there. It doesn't tell you when it's coming, and if you are not monitoring, you are not going for your yearly physicals for that to be dictated on time, what will happen? If you are not constantly checking that once you have been diagnosed, what will happen? There will be a day that is just going to throw you down, and that will be it. There will be a day that is just going to give you a stroke. There will be a day that can just give you some sort of heart attack right there. There could be a day that can just give you some sort of blood vessel ruptures right there, or blood clot even moving to your brain, which is very dangerous. So we want to monitor that. So thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. And more health videos to come, more word video to come. And as I said, there will be a time that you're gonna see my wife talking on other topic, especially worth building some sort of assets, building some sort of things right here in the United States. I'm back home in Cameroon. We don't get to live anywhere untouched. When you build it here, build it back home. When you build it here, build it back home. And you know, and we just want to share that knowledge out there and how we could help our communities. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day and enjoy your day. I hope this video reaches so many people. Please help me share the video so that a lot of people can benefit from this video. It's a nice day out here. I'm just sitting behind the house and enjoying the weather, and I feel like, let me reach you out through this video, and this video could save someone's life. This video could help our communities to start monitoring what is happening within them. Thank you guys so much. Okay, bye.